帰らないとお塩で悪霊退散するですよ。
お嬢ちゃん、さすがに台所のお塩じゃ除霊できない。
悪霊退散。これが塩の力です。
Hello everyone, I'm Sacklism. As always, I'm here to share my thoughts on an anime based on its first 3 episodes, so you can decide whether it's worth watching or not. This time, I'm diving into Gugure, Kokkuri-san, a lighthearted anime about a little girl who ends up being haunted after playing a ghost summoning game alone. But don't get it twisted, this isn't a horror anime. It's a comedy. Yup, a supernatural family comedy that's as absurd as it is entertaining. So what's the story all about? Let's break it down together in this 3-episode rule of Gugure, Kokkuri-san. This girl is named Kohina Ichimatsu, an elementary school student who lives alone and refers to herself as an emotionless doll. Her daily habits are quite peculiar. She only eats cup noodles for every meal. One night, out of curiosity, Kohina plays the spirit summoning game Kokkuri-san by herself at home. The ritual is said to be dangerous if done alone, as it can cause the player to be haunted. Unexpectedly, the ritual actually summons a fox spirit in the form of a white-haired man wearing a kimono. This is Kokkuri-san, the fox spirit from Japanese folklore. At first, Kokkuri-san intends only to scare Kohina as a wandering spirit, but upon witnessing her miserable lifestyle, imagine eating only instant noodles every day, his guardian instincts awaken. Instead of haunting her, Kokkuri decides to stay and take care of her, acting as a sort of guardian. Naturally, Kohina reacts indifferently to his presence at first. Plenty of comedic scenes follow, such as when Kohina asks supernatural questions and Kokkuri, embarrassed by his ignorance, frantically turns to internet search engines for answers. While the folklore says Kokkuri-san should know all, in this anime, he hilariously Googles everything, turning the creepy into delightfully modern comedy. As time goes on, Kokkuri becomes increasingly concerned for Kohina. He begins cleaning the house, cooking healthy meals, and most importantly, confiscating her entire stash of cup noodles for her own good. Kohina is furious when Kokkuri throws away her beloved noodles. Angry at being told to stop eating them, she kicks Kokkuri out of the house, insisting she doesn't need him. Offended, Kokkuri vanishes. At first, Kohina insists she's fine being alone again, but after a few days, loneliness creeps in. The usually expressionless girl ends up crying quietly, realizing Kokkuri's presence actually meant something to her. This touching moment ends with Kokkuri's sudden return. It turns out he never truly left. He was hiding, having gone out to buy back all the noodles he'd thrown away, hoping to teach her a lesson. Kohina is shocked and relieved to see him again, though too proud to admit it. They reconcile. Kokkuri returns to Kohina's home as her overly protective guardian, and Kohina accepts the new roommate in her usual deadpan yet oddly endearing way. Now considering himself a foster parent, Kokkuri becomes concerned about Kohina's behavior at school. Her cold, expressionless demeanor and solitary nature make him worry she might be bullied or unable to socialize. This sparks Kokkuri's latest silly mission, to teach Kohina how to smile sweetly like a normal human. According to Kokkuri, a bright smile is the first step to being a good person. Of course, Kohina does everything to avoid this, even sending Kokkuri into a brief existential crisis when she jokingly questions if he might just be a figment of a lonely girl's imagination. Since spirits are said to vanish if no one believes in them, Kohina's prank sends Kokkuri into a panic. Eventually, she changes the topic, and Kokkuri's mission ends in failure. For now, getting this sharp-tongued little girl to smile is no easy feat. Eventually, Kokkuri tries a new tactic: the emotional tears of an adult. He weeps dramatically all day, which finally leads Kohina to agree to hold his paw in his fox form. One gag after another follows as Kohina attempts various awkward and hilariously creepy smiles. Kokkuri's efforts end in pure frustration. Still, their bond begins to soften. Kohina starts to worry that Kokkuri might stop liking her if she remains cold and detached. This innocent concern builds up to a sweet scene. Kokkuri, usually so talkative, gently holds Kohina's hand and reassures her that he will always love and care for her as she is. It's a warm, paternal moment. Naturally, it's quickly offset by another round of comedy to keep the tone light. Accepting that Kohina's smile may take time, Kokkuri relaxes slightly, just in time for a new character to appear in their lives. Kohina encounters a strange man inside a cardboard box. This unkempt purple-haired man has followed her home. Who is he? It turns out he's Inugami, a dog spirit who's fallen in love with Kohina. Once a stray dog ignored by everyone except Kohina, her small act of kindness left a deep impression. He swore eternal loyalty even after death. Now, as a spirit in human form, he brings his cardboard box home and barges into Kohina's life. Inugami's arrival drives Kokkuri into a frenzy. Just when he was getting Kohina's life in order, a clingy dog spirit shows up to cause trouble. Instantly, Kokkuri and Inugami become ridiculous rivals, constantly fighting for Kohina's attention. Kokkuri plays the overprotective parent, while Inugami acts like a possessive pet. Arguments, insults, and small supernatural skirmishes erupt daily in Kohina's home. Though Kohina finds Inugami's clinginess annoying, her flat expression makes her look unfazed. It's Kokkuri who actively tries to kick Inugami out, only to fail when Kohina lets Inugami stay in exchange for cup noodles.
今後ともよろしく。
Inugami brings plenty of laugh-out-loud moments. As a spirit, he can switch genders at will because he doesn't remember if he was male or female when alive. He uses this ability to get closer to Kohina, even disguising himself as a beautiful woman to bathe with her, only to be immediately dragged away by Kokkuri, who sternly warns him against any inappropriate behavior toward a child. The scene is both hilarious and a bit absurd, showcasing Inugami's ridiculous obsession. Compared to Kokkuri's playful antics, Inugami becomes the true source of chaos. The madness reaches its peak when Kokkuri and Inugami actually duel in the house over something petty, like jealousy. Tired of the constant fighting, Kohina simply watches them battle without interest. During the brawl, a cat walks up to Kohina and she casually says she likes cats. Instantly, both Kokkuri and Inugami freeze in panic. Turns out they both hate cats. The two enemies spontaneously team up to drive the cat out. The scene is hilarious, as sworn rivals suddenly unite out of canine solidarity. Kohina just stares, bewildered, as the supernatural pair chase away the unfortunate cat. Just when you think they might finally get along, nope, the rivalry continues. Kohina's home grows livelier. She now lives with two spirits, Kokkuri-san, the fox guardian, and Inugami, the clingy dog. For Kohina, this marks the beginning of a new daily life, far from lonely, though definitely more troublesome. The comedic antics of Kohina's unusual household continue. Since Inugami's arrival, his silly rivalry with Kokkuri plays out daily. They argue over who gets to be near Kohina, or prank each other with elaborate traps. Seeing Inugami's increasingly wild behavior, Kohina decides to train him like a real dog. On one hand, Kohina is never lonely anymore. On the other, her house is now chaotic. Thus begins Kohina's dog training sessions. In her usual deadpan tone, she asks Inugami to shake hands, only for him to decline, instead hoping to be whipped, imagining punishment as a reward.
言うことを聞かない子はこうです。
おやめください、我が君。
At first, Kohina manages to make Inugami go on daily walks. Kokkuri, touched to see Kohina taking initiative, watches with pride. But it doesn't last. Kohina quickly grows bored with the training game and delegates the task to Kokkuri. Resigned, Kokkuri realizes the mission to discipline Inugami has failed. Life returns to normal. Kokkuri stressed from cleaning up Inugami's messes. Inugami happily glued to Kohina, and Kohina expressionless as ever. Even so, Kokkuri becomes exhausted from watching Inugami 24/7 to ensure he doesn't misbehave. Comedically, Kokkuri starts losing hair from the stress of parenting two supernatural children.
もふもふに新生のハゲか。
Seeing this, Kohina tries to be kind, persuading Inugami to behave so Kokkuri won't stress out. Of course, this being Inugami and Kokkuri, peace is impossible. Just as things seem stable in their chaotic way, Kohina and Inugami decide to play the Kokkuri-san ritual again, to bring Kokkuri back to his pre-stress state. But instead of summoning Kokkuri, they accidentally summon a new spirit. Enter Shigaraki, a tanuki spirit in the form of a middle-aged man with blonde hair, scruffy clothes, and sake breath. He claims his wife kicked him out due to his gambling addiction.
妻にも子供にも逃げ出されて もう帰っていい場所なんてないんだ。
Turns out Shigaraki is an old friend of Kokkuri-san and used to live with him. Upon seeing Kokkuri again, he grins and casually invites himself into Kohina's home. Imagine, Kohina now has another supernatural roommate. This one lazier, drunker, and even more mischievous than the others. Kohina stares blankly at the drunken tanuki in her living room, while Kokkuri screams in despair at yet another source of stress. It's clear that the next episodes will only grow more chaotic with the ever-expanding cast of Kohina's strange new family. So, is Gugure Kokkuri-san worth watching? For context, this anime consists of one season with 12 main episodes and 11 short special episodes. Based on the first 3 episodes, Gugure Kokkuri-san delivers a lighthearted, funny, and entertaining watch in its own quirky way. The opening episodes successfully introduce its unique characters and the signature humor that defines the series. While the story itself isn't particularly deep, the simple premise of a little girl and her spirit guardians is executed with creativity and plenty of laughs. Its main strength lies in the character interactions and consistently hilarious comedy, peppered with unexpectedly touching moments. On the flip side, the humor might not be to everyone's taste, and the plot leans heavily on an episodic format. Still, as a form of entertainment, the anime delivers exactly what it promises. With its solid comedy and charming characters, our verdict is solid. In other words, Gugure Kokkuri-san is a good anime and definitely worth watching, especially if you're looking for laughs from an absurd yet heartwarming supernatural family tale.